Well, border czar Kamala Harris finally going to the border on Friday. It's only 3 months after she was named czar. No problem there. No need to hurry, right? There's nothing much going on down there. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, by the way, that President Trump will be there on June 30th. So the Veep will get there 5 days earlier. Just a coincidence, I'm sure. Question is, what's she going to do or say? Or is this just going to be as phony as a $3 bill photo op? So here to tell us the inside scoop, Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. Senator Blackburn, what do you make? I can't resist. I know it's a little bit snarky, but is it a coincidence that she's going now 5 days before President Trump goes?
I have to tell you, Larry, I think that the Democrats are getting so much pressure. Every town is a border town. Every state is a border state because of the influx of drugs and human trafficking and gangs and crime and sex trafficking that is taking place in every city in this country. And people are tired of it. And this issue at the southern border is Biden's border policy. They own this issue. And people are going online. They're seeing these pictures of these cartels and these coyotes, and they're pulling people across the river in the middle of the night. They're hearing from Border Patrol agents about what is going on. You have all of these cities and counties on the border that used to be Democrat counties. They're electing Republican officials. So my hope is that Vice President Harris will go down there. She will talk to these county sheriffs. She will talk to these local elected officials. She will talk to the Border Patrol, and she will hear them out. She needs to ask the question and listen to their answers, because people that live down there, I've been down there, I talk to residents and listen to them and their concerns. They're afraid for their children to play outside because of illegal aliens that are coming through their backyards. People that have ranches and businesses, and they have individuals, they can't go out and ranch. They can't leave houses unlocked or buildings unlocked. Things get stolen out of their barns. I talked to somebody who had a swimming pool at their home. They woke up one morning and they had people that were migrants crossing through, actually dipping in their pool. This is out of control, and people want it stopped.
So, Senator, one question I will have, I don't know if she's going to go to these facilities that are such a mess. I don't know if she's actually going to talk to the sheriffs. I hope you're right, because your proposal is a very constructive one. But what I really want to know, will they change their failed policies? Okay? My guy, Trump, left them with a clean border.
Yes.
And a lot of security and protection down there. Now it's an open border. And are we going to have catch and release, Senator Blackburn, or are we going to have, catch and deport? These are like concrete things. She's going to get asked those questions, right, by the sheriffs and the media, I suppose.
Yes.
What is she going to carry with her?
Yes, and she is going to get these questions. And because President Trump, God bless him, for the way he cleaned up that border, the way he started building that wall. And I have not talked to a single sheriff, law enforcement officer, elected official, CBP. Everybody wants that wall to be built. They have needed it. President Trump gave it the go sign, got it started. And now all of this activity on the border is because Joe Biden stood up there and said, hey, y'all come. We're hanging the welcome sign out. And it is going to be imperative that she look at these facilities, that she see these individuals that have been traumatized, that have been abused, that have been sexually molested and abused by these cartels and these coyotes, that have been given drugs, that are now going to need rehab treatments. And it is a humanitarian crisis. It is a national security crisis. It is a drug crisis. It is an environmental crisis on that southern border, and she does need to see it firsthand.
See, I do think, Senator, that a lot of people, you're right, this is a national issue. That's a very good insight. This is not a border issue. This is a national issue. You're 100% right. Well put. So now all the people around the country will watch Veep go down there and say, okay, better late than never, finally. But, the question is, what is she going to do about it? And will there be a change in policy? You know, when you listen to Madam Psaki and others from the White House, they hadn't said much about any of this. Mayorkas has been in denial for a large part, the DHS secretary. You know, I think, Senator, folks want to see and hear a change. And I don't know what you're hearing in Washington about that, but color me skeptical that there is going to be a change in policy, like concrete things. If you come there, there has to be some deliverables. And I don't know what exactly she's going to deliver that's different.
Well, bear in mind, too, you have your Homeland Security Secretary that does not believe in secure borders. So you've got to have a change there. And Jen Psaki at some point is going to have to say, yes, there is a crisis at the southern border. The vice president is getting down there to address this crisis. The Remain in Mexico policy, those migrant protection protocols, Larry, I've put that into legislative language. We need to go back to that. That bill is ready to go, and it should be moving through committee because we need people to stay in Mexico or that safe third country until their asylum hearing takes place, because catch and release needs to stop. We don't know who the people are that are coming here. We do not know if they have COVID. We do not know if they're going to a drug organization.
It's a health hazard. You're so right, Marsha. And you're either going to go catch and deport as a starting point for real change or not. And if you ask me, I mean, you and I will watch it. Hopefully you'll come back on the show and help us critique it. But if they don't go there, and I'm not hearing that, I don't think they'll have any credibility with the nation. Because your other point, this is a national political issue, is a very insightful point. So they're going to have to deliver the goods. We'll see. Maybe you'll come back and work with us when we get some results. Anyway,
Absolutely.
Senator Marsha Blackburn, best of the best. Always. Thank you, ma'am.